Today, we're going to talk about Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson was born right before the Revolutionary War. You should just know that Andrew Jackson is a badass right now. So when Andrew Jackson was like 12 years old, he was with his brother, and they were like running from British troops and stuff. Like, oh shit, British troops, run! And so they like hide in this house. And then these like asshole neighbors are like, hey British troops, Andrew Jackson and his brother are in that house over there. They're like, okay. And his General Talleyrand, he's like a pretty ridiculously bad guy. He's like, Andrew Jackson, lick my boots. And Andrew Jackson looked at him. He said, you know what? I'm a prisoner of war. I will not lick your boots. Talleyrand he literally swung his sword at Andrew Jackson's neck. And 12-year-old Andrew Jackson blocked the sword with his hand, but it still hit his face. So he had a permanent scar on his hand and his face from Talleyrand's sword because he was such a badass. What people think is that because his entire family died to create America, that he liked America and he wanted to keep it existing and alive. So he like united the Union and made sure it didn't dissolve, because then his entire family died just so America could exist. And so when he became of age, he was like, I'm gonna be a teacher, but he kind of like either sucked at it or didn't want to do it, probably both. Then he's like, I'm gonna make saddles for horses, and then he like either sucked at that or didn't want to do it. And eventually he went to Tennessee, which was like the middle of fucking nowhere. Like nobody lived there. And he's like, I'm going to Tennessee, because nobody lives there. And he went there and he's like, I'm gonna be a lawyer. And being a lawyer was like one class of like 2 hours, like, hey, here's how to be a lawyer in Tennessee. It takes 2 hours. So he like rode around Tennessee on his horsey, and he was like, I'm a lawyer, I'm super awesome. And one time, this sheriff in this town could not arrest this guy. This guy literally cut the ears off of his infant son, and he would not be arrested. He was like, hell no, sheriff, I'm not going to be arrested. Even though I was drunk and cut off the ears of my own baby, you cannot arrest me. And Jackson was like, hell no, I will fix this. So Jackson came up, and this guy was armed. He had like a musket. He was like going to kill everybody. He's like, you can't take me alive. And Jackson came up and he was like, hey, get out of that cabin. And the guy was like, oh shit, this guy is scary. I'm gonna go to the courts because he's gonna kill me. And so he went to trial because Jackson was such a badass. I'm alright, okay. Wrong pipe. Another time, Andrew Jackson and his friend John Coffey got into this argument with these brothers. And Coffey and John and Andrew were like, hey, next time we see them, we're gonna kick their butt. And then the next morning at like 9 in the morning, Andrew Jackson was out there with his horse, and he saw one of the Benton brothers. And he had his riding whip with him, and he had this whip like Indiana Jones, and he came at the Benton brother, and he's like, I'ma punish you with this whip while you defend yourself. And he had this whip, and he's about to whip Benton to the ground, like whip him with a freaking horse whip. And he pulled out his gun, and Benton's like, hell no, and he shot Andrew Jackson in the left arm, and Andrew Jackson fell to the ground. Like a mortal wound, fell to the ground. John Coffey somehow ended up there, started shooting Thomas Benton, Thomas Benson fell down a flight of stairs. He was shooting at him, and they were shooting each other. And Thomas Benson's like boom, 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 out this down a flare, out this, out this flight of stairs, and he's like, ugh. I think John Coffey's like beating him up, and then Andrew Jackson's nephew comes out of nowhere. And he's like, I'm a fight, and he like beats up Jesse Benson. He's like beating him, and he gets out this knife, and he's like, I'ma kill you with this knife. It was crazy. I mean, for no real reason. They had like some beef and they're all trying to kill each other. I mean, that was Tennessee back in the day. Everybody good? Okay. What's interesting about the shootout is Andrew Jackson not only became the representative of Tennessee and the senator of Tennessee, but he was the president of the United States. The guy he was shooting, Thomas Benson, eventually became the senator of Missouri. That's when politicians were awesome. They shot each other. So this time, Andrew Jackson and his friend were like, they were circuit riding in Allure, and they were next to this creek, and they were like, hey, look at that fire over there. And there was these Native American Indian brosifs. They were sitting around the fire, and they were all in this war paint. Look like they're about to kill people. And Andrew Jackson and his friend and two other guys, there's 4 of them, and they were like, oh shit, they're about to kill people. We should watch out. So they started running away, and the Indians were like, oh yeah, we gotta kill these guys. And they started chasing them, and Andrew Jackson and his friend Overton and these 2 guys were like running away all night long. They got to this river, and they're like, hey, this water looks okay. Let's make a raft and put the horses on it and make it across the river, and we'd be okay. Shit, that was close. Okay, we're okay. That could have gone really bad. Okay, the land is okay. So they make this raft, and they put all the saddles on it, and Andrew Jackson's with the saddles, and they're like stirring across the river, but the river had this undercurrent, and it was going super fast, and the Andrew Jackson's like with the oar, and he's like, we'll make it across this river, and he's with the saddles, and he's like, choo 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 choo. That's kind of a train sound. But anyway, he was like paddling across the river, and all of a sudden there's a freaking waterfall, like a fucking waterfall, it's like right there, and he's like rowing, and Overton's like, just jump off of the friggin' raft, you're gonna die. You're gonna go over this waterfall. And Andrew Jackson's just looking at him stone faced. He's like, I got this, bro. I got this, bro. Oars. It's like just freaking rowing with the... And finally he gets there, and he's like seconds away from dying. He extends, like slow motion epic movie, extends his oar. Overton grabs it, pulls him ashore. Overton's like, what the hell were you thinking? Jackson's like, I never shy away from danger. Follow me and I'll save you, yes. He was very confident. I'm drunk.